Hi, it's a privilege to be with you. I'm Father Greg Boyle, Jesuit and founder and director of Boyle Industries, the largest gang intervention, rehab, and reentry program in the United States. It's the privilege of my life for 30 years to have worked with gang members. They've taught me everything of value. Recently, a homie named Lewis, who helps run this place, who's become something of a public speaker in his own right, was giving me tips on how to give speech. And he said, you have to pepper your talk with self-defecating humor. And I said, no shit. So brace yourselves. So my topic is about kinship and being men and women with others. Service, of course, is a great goal, and we want to be able to always put ourselves at service. And at every university in the United States, Jesuit universities, service is something that's a hallmark of how we do things. But there's a distance even in service. You know, there's service provider, service recipient. We want to somehow be able to bridge that gulf. Our hope is that there not be any daylight that separates us. Service is the hallway that leads to the ballroom. The ballroom is the place of connection, the place of ultimate and exquisite mutuality. One of the great privileges of my life was knowing Cesar Chavez as a friend, and I remember once a reporter had commented to him and said, wow, these farm workers, they sure love you. And Cesar just shrugged and smiled and said, the feeling's mutual. So the hope, of course, is to arrive at that place of mutuality, to arrive at that place where there is no us and them, there's just us. How do we obliterate the illusion that we are separate? And how do we get to that place where we stand against forgetting that we belong to each other? What God's dream come true, of course, is that we imagine a circle of compassion, and then we imagine nobody standing outside that circle. And to that end, we seek to dismantle the barriers that exclude. We want to stand at the margins, because if you do stand there, you look under your feet and you notice that the margins are getting erased precisely because that's where you chose to stand. You stand with the poor and the powerless and the voiceless. You stand with those whose dignity has been denied, and you stand with those whose burdens are more than they can bear. Every once in a while, all of us, and including your students, have this privileged experience of being able to stand with the easily despised and the readily left out, with the demonized, so that the demonizing will stop, and with the disposable, so that the day will come when we stop throwing people away. So I think that if kinship in fact happened to be our goal, we would no longer be promoting justice, we'd be celebrating. Much of the protest in Baltimore recently says no justice, no peace. But the truth is, no kinship, no justice. No kinship, no peace. No matter how singularly focused we may well be on those very worthy goals, they actually can't happen unless there's some undergirding sense that we belong to each other. And so it's men and women not just for others, where there can be some distance, but men and women with others, so that the goal is that you get to a place of ultimate connection. At Boyle Industries, I'm not the great healer, and that gang member over there is in need of my exquisite healing. The truth be told, we're all in need of healing. We're all a cry for help, and it's one of the things that joins us together as members of the human family. What Alice Miller, the great child psychologist, said, that we're all called to be enlightened witnesses, people who through your kindness and tenderness and focused attentive love return people to themselves. Our task in service, in accompanying people, is not to hold the bar up and ask people to measure up, especially since our God has no interest in measuring. You don't hold the bar up. You hold the mirror up and you tell people the truth, knowing that your truth is my truth and my truth is a gang member's truth, and it all happens to be the same truth, and here's the truth. You are exactly what God had in mind when God made you. And then you watch folks on the margins as they become that truth, as they inhabit that truth. And no bullet can pierce it, no 4 prison walls can keep it out, and death can't touch it because it's huge. But everybody is mutually returned to themselves when we stand at the margins. I don't rescue people, I don't fix people, I don't save people, I accompany people. Recently, a PBS interviewer ended his interview by asking me, how's it feel to have saved thousands and thousands of lives? And the truth, and I told him I don't mean to be coy or cute, I don't really know what you're talking about. I know that my life has been saved every day that I've come in here. I know that my life has been altered beyond my ability to even imagine. I know that I've been rescued, and I've been returned to myself endlessly and over again. I think that's an important thing to underscore, that in ministry in particular, we're not meant to rescue, we're only meant to receive. And it's in the receiving that everybody finds liberation. So if love is the answer, community is the context, but tenderness is the methodology. Love can stay in my head and love can stay in my heart, but tenderness is the only way that love becomes connective tissue. Tenderness is the only way that suddenly people can be returned to each other in a kinship that God, in fact, might recognize, which is, in fact, God's dream come true. So all of your students are invited to stand at the margins. And we brace ourselves because people are going to accuse us of wasting our time. But the prophet Jeremiah writes, in this place of which you say it is a waste, there will be heard again the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voices of those who sing. And part of what folks are called to do is to make those voices heard. So what Martin Luther King says about church could well be said about your students' time in your universities. That it's not the place they've come to, it's always been the place they will go from. And they go from there to really reimagine something completely different in the world. They go from there to stand in awe at what the poor have to carry rather than stand in judgment at how they carry it. They go from there to somehow imitate the kind of God we have, the God who loves us without measure and without regret, the God who is simply just too busy loving us to have any time left to be disappointed. So this place at Homeboy Industries has taught me more than I could ever ask or imagine what it means to stand at the margins and to receive people. And the day won't ever come when I am more noble, or I have more courage, or I am closer to God than the men and women, thousands of them, that I've come to know in my 30 years working here. So we all try to find our way to stand out at the margins and hope for the best. And it's true enough that occasionally, if you look under your feet, the margins are erased. But it's equally true that you'll look under your feet and things have sort of stayed the same. We're not called to be successful in all this. We're called to be faithful in this. Faithful to putting first things recognizably first. Faithful to living as though the truth were true. faithful to taking seriously what Jesus took seriously. And so we stand at the margins. And ultimately, it makes no difference what anybody thinks about how we spend our time and whether or not we're wasting it. For in this place of which you say it is a waste, there will be heard again the voice of mirth and the voice of gladness, the voices of those who sing. And may you go from that place to make those voices heard. Thank you.